This is our next guest. This is another woman who rules. Growing up, our next guest wasn't quite sure what she wanted to do. She became an actual intern. She started working as an intern at 17 to pursue a career in media. Being an intern really helps you get anywhere in Hollywood. Let me tell you something. The two ways you can get in Hollywood: work for free, you'll get a job. Or bring in money and pay for a job. Those are about the two ways that really work. But being an intern is a great way. But now this native works as a senior producer of the Ryan Seacrest show on KISS FM. How many listen to Ryan Seacrest in the morning? I do. I listen to it a lot. She's worked with Miley Cyrus. She developed her own jewelry line. And this jewelry line, Miley Cyrus wore a piece of jewelry on her body. It was taken in a photograph, and her jewelry line blew up. Another thing about her that people don't know, this is a woman who rules, and it's a producer for KISS FM, Ryan Seacrest. She did a petition that MAC stores, now the women will know this, you all know what MAC makeup is, right? Yeah. Okay, women will know this, a few of the men. Okay, so MAC makeup. She's the one who did the petition that MAC would create the Selena line of makeup. And that line came out and was a resounding success. This is Patty Rodriguez. Take a look at this clip.
Hi, my name is Patty Rodriguez, and I'm a senior producer for the Ryan Seacrest radio show on KISS FM.
On our way to a meeting here at the radio ranch. I understand we've got a new visitor, Alexander. Baby.
In a nutshell, I work with a team of producers to create content and just create a good show that all the ladies just love. It's a very small group of people, and we just, we know each other like family. We spend probably more time with each other than we do with our own families. We have a really good relationship. He surrounds himself with a team that he trusts.
But in spite of her successful rise within the radio ranks, Patty's passion for self-expression took an unexpected turn that eventually fulfilled one of her biggest dreams.
Miley Cyrus is the one that started everything. I was looking for a necklace, or I wanted a necklace that had, the city that I grew up in, and I wasn't gonna find it anywhere, so I decided to make it myself. The girls at work and the guys were like, "Where'd you get it?" I'm like, "Oh, I made it." And they're like, "Can you make me one too?"
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Patty Rodriguez. Sit down, Patty. You're definitely a woman who rules. It's amazing. A producer on Ryan Seacrest. Now, I listen to Ryan Seacrest every morning with my wife and kids. We go, when I'm dropping off the kids with her. And I hear the one thing you have on that show, Ryan's Roses. And they call people up. Have you guys heard this? Ryan's Roses? You guys like it? Yeah. Well, it's like watching a train wreck. I hate to say it. Once I hear it, I go, okay. Because there's always a woman calling up going, I'm feeling my husband might be cheating on me or something like that. Or sometimes it's a man calling about his wife. And all of a sudden, they call someone up, and the thing is, hey, we're calling from such and such, Roses, and we're offering a free, you don't have to pay any money at all, just who do you want to give roses to? It's a classic setup. So the guy says, I want to give it to, hopefully, send it to my wife. But many times they don't. They'll say, send it to, Shaniqua, Clarissa, Maria, whoever, but, never the wife. And the wife gets on the phone and goes, who are you sending this to? And the fireworks start. How did that start happening?
I don't know.
Excuse me, Rick?
Yeah.
The mic's not on.
Oh! Is the mic not on?
No? No, it's not. Okay.
Okay, all right.
When I started working there with Ryan, that segment was already airing, so I don't really know the
history of it.
The history of it, but what I do know is that I feel that our listeners use our show as a way to be able to express themselves, and they see us as a friend. So I think many of these times when these women or these men are going through a situation like that, they just want someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And to feel their pain. I think they use it as the outlet for that, and it's very interesting to see, but it's also very painful. But I think
those are real.
They're real, yeah. So, but for women to share that story, and I think the listeners also see it, and they're like, you know what? They feel compassion and empathy for this woman that they've never met.
Oh, I'm hoping I get the phone call, because I'll be like, oh, Susie Nahara, of course. I adore Susie. She's the most wonderful woman in the world. I'll keep going on.
Right.
It's like, you're definitely gonna have a great time tonight.
Right.
You know, I mean, how many people have heard Ryan's Roses? I mean, but you still catch people that have never heard the show.
We still do. We still get a lot of men that don't know about the segment, don't know about the show, and they like to come on the show.
Is there one where you just know this is what was the worst one you heard and you were like, I can't do this now? Because the one the other week was pretty bad.
Last week we had a husband who purchased a Coach bag in Mexico for his other woman.
Yeah.
It's like, how did he end up in Mexico?
Sancha.
Yeah, it's like, and he had asked the wife, you know, I have this other woman in my life. I want you to accept that.
Wow. Because he said he had needs.
Yeah, because he said he had needs.
Yeah, I'm sure the wife says I have needs too. I have needs
But
too.
nothing surprises us anymore. I think we're at the point where we've heard it all.
Yeah, so it doesn't surprise
It doesn't surprise me, no.
you. Do you ever hope that has there been a really good story that came out?
Yeah, there's many ones. You know, a few years ago there was one where the wife thought the husband was cheating. I don't remember the name. And he wasn't coming home. Well, it turns out that he got a second job to be able to pay for their daughter's quinceañera. Yeah.
That's a great story.
That was a great story.
That's
So we get those. We do
Okay.
get those stories.
I'm glad that story came out. You know, I'm gonna use that story if you call me up. I'll be
Right.
like, you know, I'm so busy for my daughter's quinceañera.
I need to get a second job. Yeah.
Could you send some flowers to Susie? I'll do that one. But you've done even more. I mean, you got this makeup line when you did this Selena Mac products. Were you surprised at how successful that was?
Oh, I was really surprised because one, I didn't expect them. I never expected MAC Cosmetics to get back to me. And I'll tell you the story. This was inspired, I think, in 2014, after I saw that MAC Cosmetics had released a collection honoring Marilyn Monroe. And I'm thinking, well, Marilyn Monroe is a great woman. She's, you know, an American icon. But I think in this time now, our icons have changed.
Yeah.
And I really think that Selena Quintanilla is the epitome of the American woman. And I really thought...
She is the American woman.
Yeah, she's the American woman.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking at that time, well, you know, Latinas are the #1 beauty consumer. We are 3 times more likely to purchase beauty products than any other group in the country.
Wait, Latinas are 3 times more likely.
To purchase beauty products.
Which I gotta say, when I
We
think about it,
love.
I see Latinas show up at the gym with makeup on. You know, like, have you ever seen that? You go to the gym, there's a Latina with makeup on, and I'm like,
I'm guilty.
yeah. So, it was like, I think, and we're very brand loyal, which is nothing wrong.
We're very brand loyal.
So, and the color purple is one of our favorite colors. I did all the research.
Oh, it is. I
Yeah,
did not know
purple.
that. I should
Yeah.
add that in the petition.
Yeah, color purple. I don't know why.
So I reached out to the CEO of MAC Cosmetics and I said, you should really consider creating a collection honoring Selena Quintanilla as a thank you to your consumer. And I was surprised when they did get back to me. They said, thank you so much for your idea. We'll put it in the back burner. And I was like, okay, I moved on. But I don't know why a few years later, like the idea was still itching inside me. And I tried to create a hashtag on Twitter to try to make it go viral.
Yeah.
Didn't work. So then a few months later, I see a Photoshop image of a Selena signature on a MAC lipstick online. And I'm thinking, oh my God, MAC is already creating the collection. So I Google more information. I didn't find anything. It turns out that the Photoshop image was created by someone else with the same idea that MAC should create this.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to email the CEO again and say to him, you need to do this.
Yeah.
And I did. He didn't reply back. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do a petition. See what happens. And it was the night before my son's birthday party. And instead of me stuffing the piñata, where they're creating petitions. So I created the petition and I left it alone. I went to my son's birthday party. We had his little party. I came home and I see 5,000 signatures, and I was like, whoa.
5,000 signatures?
Like in like a few hours.
Wow.
And I'm like, whoa, and then the next day was 10,000. And I was like, whoa, and then everyone starts calling me, and I'm like, no, this is not about me. And then Mac Cosmetics calls me, and they're like, okay, we get it. How do we do this? And I said, well, I think you need to call the family. And they're like, well, how do we get a hold of the family? And I said, well, hold on. So I Googled the family's phone number, and I said, here is the phone number. Why don't you call them? And they're like,
And
well,
so the phone book in Texas says Slim's family.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, let me call them. So I called Selena's sister, Suzette. I was like, you don't know who I am, and you probably think I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. But I did this a few days ago, and Mac wants to talk to you. Can I put them on the phone for you? And she's like, okay. So then I'm like, okay guys, you guys are connected. I'll see you guys later. And the next thing I know, the collection was created. Yeah.
Did they send you a free collection?
They did, and they actually sent me to Corpus Christi, and I was very excited.
Ah,
Very
look at
excited.
that. That sounds like a great time.
Yes.
I mean, you got I love your job. For me, it's like, I read all the hard news, I speak at Harvard and all these things, but Ryan's Rose is like one of my favorite things in the morning. And so my wife's laughing, going like, do not ask her about Ryan's Rose, like it's too beneath this conversation. I'm like, I gotta know about Ryan's Roses. But not only that, you've also been a cultural, pioneer with your jewelry line.
Yes.
I mean, what was that like for you, all of a sudden with Miley Cyrus?
Well, that was also crazy. I think everything that I do, I don't do it thinking where it's going. I think I just do it because I'm very impulsive. So yeah, I decided that I wanted to create a necklace for myself because I'm from Linwood. Does anybody know where Linwood is? It's pretty far.
Is it pronounced Linwood?
Linwood.
Yeah. Linwood.
Yeah, so I'm very proud of Linwood, my city, and I wanted to create a necklace that said Linwood on it. Nothing crazy, just said a necklace because, you go to the store and, I love jewelry. And I go to the stores and I see necklaces that say Los Angeles or New York or, the big cities.
It's kind of like those you're really swap meets and stuff.
The
like
swap,
that. Yes, exactly.
We all grew up with.
Because in Venice, I would go, there was like an indoor swap meet.
Yes, yes.
This is how modern Venice has swap meets, there's an indoor swap meet. But those kind of jewelry things,
It's very personal,
Very
it's part of your identity.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. So I created the necklace for myself and then I go to work and my coworkers are like, where did you get this? I'm like, oh, I made it. And they're like, can you make me one? And I'm like, great, sure. Okay, so I made one for my coworker. Then we had Miley Cyrus on the show, and she sees the necklace on my coworker. And
it said Lynn.
no, that one said 818, the area code.
Ah, 818.
Miley Cyrus is from the 818.
Yeah, I was up here in the 805. I was in the Rico Mambo show, so I get a call from the 805, like, hey, it's the 805.
I should make you a necklace.
Yeah, because Rico Mambo is like, yeah, we represent the 805, so
Yes.
I live in the 818, so.
Okay, I'll make you two.
So
818, 805.
805.
So she saw it on him. She's like, where did you get it? He froze because he's like starstruck. And I think he took it off and put it on her. And like a few weeks later, she's in the cover of Rolling Stone magazine wearing it. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy.
You just got.
This is like really crazy. Like
So-
this doesn't happen to girls from Linwood.
So now it's in the cover of Rolling Stone
Cover of
magazine,
Rolling Stone magazine.
and it says did it have the 818 or
It was the 818. I was
818.
that was like my necklace. Yeah. So it was crazy. I had like an imposter syndrome moment. Like this doesn't happen to Mexican girls.
No,
Like
Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
We didn't see Miley Cyrus coming.
no,
because
it was crazy. So then that's what started everything. Like, you know what? I should start a website and put them up and see what happens.
And how quick was it?
It was pretty fast. Then I have Rihanna calling me. Well, not Rihanna personally, but Rihanna's people calling me, asking for the necklaces. And then just last week, Katy Perry was wearing it. Wearing an 805 necklace.
805.
Yes.
She's born 805.
She was wearing one last week.
Katy Perry's representing
Yeah.
Oxnard. All right.
Yeah, Demi Lovato. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, Malibu would be the 310.
Malibu, I don't know.
I think Malibu's 310. It might be 310. I'm trying to figure out the different
We're
places.
310 in Linwood.
Yeah, well, I think Glenda is 818 too, so yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if
a
we're
little bit of both worlds.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and that's what it started. And
Because, I mean, you're Latino, so you're entrepreneurial. I think our people are very entrepreneurial.
We are.
Yeah, because like,
I just think we don't know it.
no, we just think it's working.
Yeah, that's what we think. We
Like,
just think it's just,
We
we're
think-
surviving.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like my dad had 3 jobs. Someone saw me and I ride, direct, do everything. And someone goes, why do you do that? I go, I'm Mexican. I can't be without a job.
Right.
So it's like, you gotta know how to do everything. And like, you know, I got guys doing construction in my backyard right now. But I remember just going to Home Depot and you ask someone, does someone know how to tile? Yeah, the carpet. There's nothing they don't know how to do. If they don't know how to do it, they'll learn how to do it.
While doing it.
While doing
Yes.
it, they'll figure it out.
That's how exactly how it is. Yes.
I went to my place, there was a Guatemalan guy doing tile work that was so amazing. And I'm like, you ever done this work? No. But he's figuring it out. I've seen him like make this thing. I'm like, it was beautiful.
Yes.
That's the stuff. And in my backyard, I said, we have Trump's nightmare in my backyard right now because of all these people working. But they're singing, they're bringing great food, they're working, they're laughing, they're art. I mean, it's life. I love that. And I think we in America try to sterilize it all. You know,
Right.
we want this 1950s America to exist. It never existed. You know, it's never part of it. You know, and we're living in this fantasy world. But your entrepreneurship, you've done this. So this is your business, this jewelry line.
Yes.
And not to mention, and it keeps growing, right?
It's growing, and then we also, I also started my own children's publishing company.
I know, I was going to bring that up. Children's publishing. Now, I think I tried to apply to your company. I think I sent an email.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I had a book, a
Oh my
children's book, and I
God!
applied to the company.
I'm gonna have to search your name. I didn't get that email.
I did. I never got. I didn't hear anything back. But
Sorry.
Yeah, it was a book. It was a book I wrote when I was in first grade, and it's an actual book, and it changed my life. What happened was, as a kid, this surprised me. I was flunked as a kid. I was, you know, I had dyslexia. I was actually considered, you know, slow. That's what they called me back in those days, and so they flunked me in school. The thing is, I didn't talk because I was, you know, Mexican American kids are very polite. So I wasn't speaking all the time, and all the other kids were yelling and speaking. And I was being just very quiet. And one day, one teacher had been flunked, and everyone said he was slow. She started talking to me, and she goes, "He's not slow. He's really smart." And she goes, "Why aren't you talking?" I go, "I have nothing to say." I go, "I'll talk when I have something to say." She goes, "Well, why don't you tell me a story?" So I told her I'd make up stories, and she'd make these little books for me out of cardboard and paper, and she'd wax paper, and she'd iron it and make a book. I'd be like, I can make a book. So I told her a story. The story was called The Colored Boy. It was about a boy that grew up in a little town where I was, La Mesa, and he sees his world, and he goes around, but he's not really welcome, he's not sure about anything, and he meets a boy that's all these different colors, and he can't figure out just every different color in the world. And he looks at him and he says, it's okay to have many colors. I'm from a planet where colors are loved. And the more colors you have, the better you are. And we love colors. And so this little boy goes to this planet and he becomes the colored boy too. And after writing that book, years later, I'm writing my other book, Almost White, that came out. They once said, where'd that story come from? I remember it. I said, I realized in that chapter, I was the colored boy. Here I'm writing a thing as a kid and you're going, so that was the book I sent you guys.
That's such a sweet story.
Yeah,
Wow.
thank you. So, that's,
I'm gonna look at my emails now.
through your emails.
I'm gonna go through it. I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
No, I'm not saying this. I'm not ambushing you right now. You're putting on your blast. I like to bring people on stage just to embarrass them and put them on blast. But then you never return my calls.
I'm gonna have to call
Call someone.
my office and I said, Jenny.
It's the colored boy. What the color? Really thought I was being prejudiced, something like that. I don't know what. I misinterpreted. I mean, but I love the fact you're doing that. You're doing books for kids that don't see themselves in
For our
books.
children, yes.
That's, to me, so revolutionary that you're doing that, because I think part of the problem is when we're not included in the picture, when you don't see Latinos in film, or you don't see Latinos in TV, or you see Latinos in books, our generation, the first 5 years, there's even an organization in California called First Five, most of the children born in America today are Latino.
Mm-hmm.
And with this huge market of Latinos, and if they don't see themselves, how can they love themselves?
How do they know they belong?
They don't know they belong. They don't know they're part of the picture.
You know, I was one of those children that didn't believe in myself. I always thought that all those amazing things happened to other people. But I loved reading, and I was obsessed with the Sweet Valley High School books. There were those books catered to teenagers, young girls. And I remember one of the books was a story about a girl and her boyfriend. And they were like really popular couple at school. But her parents didn't approve of him because he was Mexican
Wow, that was in the book.
in this book.
Wow.
And then
Was it a good story? How did it end up?
it ended with them getting back together, staying together. But the whole story is about the parents not approving of this couple, not approving of him because according to the parents, those Mexican people were trouble. So imagine reading that book. I'm 8 or 9.
Always building and working and
Yeah.
singing songs and creating great food. All that.
Yeah, but when you're reading this book and you're putting these people in a pedestal, and then you're reading a book and they're talking about who you are and your identity in this way. When you're 8 or 9, you're not able to separate fiction with reality. You believe it. And so when I was pregnant with my son, I remember the love that I have for reading, and I remember those stories and that narrative, and I told myself that I didn't want my son to ever grow up not believing that he did not belong, and I wanted to make sure that everything that I did was to provide him with spaces that he will see himself in. And that's, in the radio, and everything that I do, in my life, it's all about my community and making sure that our children see themselves. So I thought about creating bilingual baby board books to introduce books to the youngest reader from the minute they're born. And I pitched the idea to a lot of publishers in the country. And those that did get back to me, they said no. And I got really discouraged because, again, I started thinking I'm not worth it. This was a stupid idea, and blah, blah, blah. So I left and I forgot about the idea and I moved on. And in 2014, I had a house fire and I lost everything. And it was a very, very stressful situation. Nobody was home, but you have to start from nothing again to rebuild everything you have. And I got really depressed and I started questioning my life and what it is that I wanted to, what legacy I was leaving behind. What am I doing for my child? I'm telling my child that he could be anything he wants to be, but his mother is not being that person. So I remember the books again. And I started thinking about, okay, I need to get these books done. And I started pitching the idea to independent publishers. And I was on the phone with one of them, and one of them said, Latinos don't read to their kids.
Latinos don't read to their kids?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so not true. I mean, it's funny. I tell my kids stories, but they're horrible bedtime stories. I admit it. I tell them stories that are so inappropriate. So I have one about Silky, a horse that has a drinking and cigarette problem, and therefore the little horse can never save these children, and so he has to go to rehab, and he's given fresh grass and things like that, and he gets well and he can save these kids. And I'm telling these stories, and I go, I'm such a bad parent. I'm so bad. And not to mention that I took my kids to like Petco and told them it's the zoo, because it's being cheap. So it's like they had more fun than the zoo. So that's what I'm telling you about right now. But I always tell stories to my children. But they may be inappropriate and bad. Man, Susie does too. We want to read to our kids.
We do, but that's the narrative. That's how we're seen.
Yeah.
Still to this day, we're still.
Even though there's a book writer right there, and a book writer here.
Yeah, I mean, we're still. Invisible to these people.
Yeah.
For some odd reason, we're still not. But that only motivated me to create my own publishing company. I got with my best friend, and we're like, we're gonna do this together. We're gonna create Little Libros, which translates to little books, and we published our first 3 books. A few months later, and they're great. I mean, we're now at Target,
Wow.
at Barnes and Noble, at the museum. At the Museum of Modern Art in New York, at the LA County Museum of Art, at the Mexican Museum in San Francisco.
Wow.
It's
Very
crazy
impressive.
to see a Mexican in these museums. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, here's the thing, we have to do it ourselves. Like, we just can't depend on anyone else to tell our stories. So we
that's,
want.
that's the lesson. The cavalry is not coming, you're the cavalry. So
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah, we have to tell our own stories. And not just tell our own stories, we have to share our stories. Look out for our stories. Go to the movies when you see our stories being told. You know, when you go shopping, look for our last names. Purchase those products. I mean, that's the only way. And that's what I love and I love to promote, and that gets me so excited.
So what's the future? What do you see yourself doing?
God, I don't know. I just want to give my children, when I say my children, my community, the children in my community, I just want them all. I want to see a Latino president.
Yes, I'd like to see a Latino president.
Yes.
All right. On that note, thank you so much for being here. You're definitely a woman who rules.
Thank you.
Ken Rodriguez. All right. Are you guys having a good time? Yeah. Okay. Now, our next guest, I've been trying to get my kids into school, so sometimes the show reflects just my own personal life. I wanted my kid to go to school. My wife's great about that.